بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت تجعل الهزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا، إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Is the sound clear? I'm having some microphone problems for some odd reason. Can everyone hear me? لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Uh, oh, camera, audio. Bismillah, Bismillah. Is the voice clear? Subhanallah. I'm trying to adjust the microphone, so if anyone can hear, if it's clear, let me know. Okay, MashaAllah, it's clear. Alhamdulillah. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I pray to Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala that everyone is in a good state, that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is granting all of you with still mustard. Uh-oh. Allah, Ya Rab. Let me try something else. Hmm. How about this? Is it clear now? Is the voice clear? Oh, there's a 20-second delay. So maybe they'll. Allah. I'll do one more test. Is the voice clear for everyone? Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت تجعل الهزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. I praise Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. I ask Allah to send countless blessings and salutations on Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his kind al and companions, and to protect his Muslim nation from all harm and calamities and things that he salawatullahi wassalamu alayhi he feared for his nation. I remind you with having the sincere intention that we're going to intend, or that we intend to draw close to Allah, to have a taqarrub ila Allah, to seek the reward from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and to earn the pleasure of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and to become in the presence of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala through our good deeds. As the great scholars, they said, correct your intention before the deed and have that intention at the beginning of the deed. If you can allow that intention to last throughout the deed, you will get the complete reward for that deed in the hereafter. I want you all to keep in mind what we're doing. We are learning the knowledge of the religion so that by way of this knowledge, we can implement it, we can practice it. First, upon ourselves, we would purify our states inwardly and outwardly, and then we would call others. So we have three basic objectives with this effort that we're making. Al-ilm, wal-amal, wal-da'wah. That is knowledge, learning, implementing that knowledge in both aspects of the outward performance in the inward state of purification. And then the ultimate aim after that is at da'wah, calling people to Allah. And as I told you, Sayyidina al-Imam al-Haddad radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he wrote a book called The Complete Call in English, Ad-Da'watu Tamma, in which he mentioned where everyone has a responsibility at their level to give a da'wah. A da'wah, calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is not just the work of al-ulama, of the scholars. Rather, everyone who has the ability to reach someone, it is obligatory upon them to enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong. As Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala told us, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمَرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. Let there always be among you a group that enjoins or calls to what is good. They enjoin right and they forbid what is wrong. Al-ma'ruf and al-munkar, what is right and what is wrong, is always known through Islam. So yesterday, we talked about understanding the role of Deen al-Islam, the religion of Islam, the way of life of Islam. And I want you, when you say Deen, I want you to broaden your understanding of the word Deen, not just religion as we know it. But when you say Deen, I want you to think of it as a complete, perfected way of life, right? Because our Deen and the sacred law that we learn of Sayyidina Muhammad through our religion of Al-Islam, it encompasses every aspect of our lives. It's very important to understand that. Because when we're talking about Islam, and yesterday and last night, we talked about the significance of having dignity in your Islam. To realize that Islam is our deen, Islam is our way of life, and Islam is more important than anything else. Please, every one of you, write that in big letters so it sticks in your mind. Don't just say it. You must feel it, that Islam is more important than any other thing in life. It is the most important aspect of our life. And within Islam, the most important thing that we need to focus on above everything else in our religion is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Sayyiduna Muhammad salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. This has to be an absolute, firm, unshakable conviction in the heart of every believer. That to the extent that we love for the sake of Allah, for Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, we hate for the sake of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and for nothing else, Why do we do things? Because Allah either ordered it, recommended it, or made it permissible through the tongue of Sayyiduna Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Why do we refrain from things? Why do we hate things? Why do we leave off things? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited us or censored us through the tongue of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam from doing a thing or saying a thing or believing a thing. That's the basis from which we know orders and prohibitions, good and evil. All of that is through the sacred law revealed by Allah to Sayyiduna Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And why am I saying that? Because I want you to know, and I want you to be firm. Someone said something to me yesterday that I found strange. And it happens a lot that when things don't work out between people, relationships, man and woman, they're married, people are friends, right? And when things go wrong, sometimes those things that go wrong, the marriage doesn't work, and somebody, as a result of the marriage doesn't work, they start to commit sins. Or the friendship doesn't work, they start to commit sins. They blame the failing of the relationship, whether through spouses, whether through friends, whether through family members. They take that out on their religious practice. This is something you need to think about. No matter what you encounter through a spouse, through your family, through your friends, through the sheikh, through the imam, through the association, through the organization, none of that matters. Islam al-haq. Islam is true, no matter what no one else does. If everyone becomes corrupt and lose their faith, you as a believer must remain steadfast to the laws and prohibitions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. That's how your iman has to be. My sheikh used to say to us, you have to be one that if you were the only Muslim left, the only person left on the face of the earth, that you would still carry this banner of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, which is the banner of Islam. In the same way, if you had 1 billion people to support you, that's how you have to be. But in order to be like that, you have to have a firm conviction in Islam. So if I lose my wife, or if a wife loses her husband, that's not going to affect my Islam. Yeah, you may hurt. Yeah, you may be sad. But you understand, ما شاء الله كان وما لم يشاء لم يكون وما تشاءون إلا أن يشاء الله رب العالمين. You understand that? Whatever Allah willed to be, shall be. And whatever Allah did not will to be, shall not be. And we will nothing except that Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala's everlasting, eternal Mashiach preceded it. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his will took place in al-azal, in eternity. He decreed what will be. And among the things he might have decreed is that this relationship ends at this point in time. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And we surrender to Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Allah willed that this friendship would end at this moment. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And we surrender to Allah. He's Al-Hakim. He's the wise. He knows what he's doing, even if I don't understand. That's the iman of the believer. And Allah's doings with us is something that we must surrender to. And we must see in every action the wisdom and the eternal doing of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. That's the believer. Because a crisis that we're facing, when we're facing coronavirus, protests, oppression, police brutality, all of these are rough tribulations and sicknesses and pandemics and all these things we got to face. But how do we face them is very important. We face them with unshakable iman in Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. That's really important. And when we become those type of people, people of iman, people of steadfastness, people of confidence and conviction in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the truthfulness of Deen al-Islam, we're always going to be in a state of success. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, that the believers are already successful. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, the believers are already successful. Who? Al-Mu'minun. Al-Mu'minun, the believers, are those whose faith is unshakable. Imam al-Haddad, in explaining that, rahimahullah ta'ala, rahmatan wasiyah, Imam al-Haddad, he said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in the hadith, al-yaqeen al-imanu kullu, that al-yaqeen is all of faith. In the reality of when you have iman, that is the reality of yaqeen. It's all of it. Everything you want to talk about al-iman, and tu'minu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rasulihi wa yawmil akhiri wal qadri khayrihi wa sharri. As Jibril, the Prophet explained to Jibril, that iman is to believe in Allah, His angels, His books, His messengers, the last day, and the destiny in both its good and evil. All of that is al-yaqeen, certainty. And then he described the levels, the stations of al-yaqeen, al-ilm al-yaqeen, ayn al-yaqeen, haqq al-yaqeen. Ilm al-yaqeen, it's faith at its lowest level. Doubts come, you get a little shaky, you get rocked. It's there, it's faith, but it's not so firm. It can be tested a lot. Till you move to a level of ayn al-yaqeen, to where that faith is such a point that the unseen is as if it's seen. So your faith is such a way that it's strong and it's not as weak where little doubts come and you get shaky. It's firm, you know, and almost you're at the point where you see the reality of things as they are, but not at that level. And then you reach the level of haqq al-yaqeen, which is the reality of certainty, where the unseen is seen to you. Al-kashf, unveiling. And as-Sada, rahimahumullah ta'ala, they had this habit, and this is something I suggest you to do, is to protect your children. Protect your children. The as-Sada, they used to have the children, and they would not let them out of their area, where in their area were all people of piety, around the awliya and the arifun and the salihun. And they would keep the children, don't let them go to the marketplace, don't let them go mix with the general public. They would keep them protected until they reached the age of puberty, and they started to have hairs, you know, in their chin. And by that time, they were Ahlul Kashf. They were people of unveiling. And then they would protect themselves because they would see with the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their iman was so strong where the unseen became seen, and they were protected from all evils. And then they would let them go out. And this is a habit we need to develop. so that we can raise pious children. So protect them. Don't let them mix. Don't let everyone around your children that are not people of salah, are people of piety. Keep your children protected. Keep them away from the general assemblies until they become strong as people of Allah. And then when they mix, they are the ones that are affecting others. Others are not affecting them. And these are the levels of yaqeen, and they're important. There's the levels of Iman and its reality, because they say all the stations of the spiritual path are reality stations of certainty, stations of yaqeen. And yaqeen is all of faith, and Islam is our faith. So the reality of everything is to understand with certainty the reality of Islam, which is revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and conveyed by Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's important. So we got to put it in our lives that nothing else is more important than that. And always weigh your sayings, your deeds, your inward states, your characteristics by the scale of the sacred law, by the scale of Ash-Shari'atul Muhammadiyah. Everything should be weighed by that. Now, in clarifying that, because we're talking about the Islamic sciences, but all these things are important introductions before we talk about the sciences, that you know the value of what you have. Because if you don't know the value of Islam, learning about the Islamic sciences are not going to help you. You need to know the value of what you have, and you need to be strong and firm in your Islam. Not by imaginary desire or, wishful thinking or false belief. No, firm conviction that is unshakable, based on reality. So when we look at our life, we want to put the whole life under the sacred law. And everything we look at in our life is going to fall under 5 judgments. Every statement, every action, every inward feeling, I'm even talking about the states of the heart, all of it is going to fall under 5 judgments. The first judgment is the obligation, that which we have to do, that which Allah ordered us to do. So there are going to be certain things that are obligations, and we need to figure out in the religion which ones are obligations. What do I have to do? And not mix that with anything else. This is an obligation, right? That's one category, the obligation, right? The second category is the recommended matter. That thing that I don't have to do it, but if I do it, Allah would reward me for it. That's a recommended. We call it the mandub. The other one, we call it the fard or the wajib, the obligation. The mandub, the sunnah, in terms of its legal ruling, is that is a recommended matter that I should do. The third category is the merely permissible matter. That matter that doesn't involve reward or punishment, it is left up to my choice. If I do it, it's okay. If I don't do it, I am not going to be blamed. There's a category of the life that has those type of matters. The fourth category, the dislike, the makruh, the disliked, which means it's better for me to leave it off. But I'm not sinful if I don't do it. But I get rewarded for leaving it off. And the last category, the unlawful, that if I do it, I'm sinful. I deserve to be punished. Everything you do in your life has a ruling. Everything. And one of the most important reasons why you must and I say must, follow a madhab, a school of thought, is so that you will be able to distinguish what is obligatory, what is recommended, what is merely permissible, what is disliked, and what is unlawful. You follow what I'm saying? And let me pause for a second. My good brother James Whitehead, he is mentioning about voting and the upcoming elections. They are important because that's our worldly life, and we don't leave that off. That's an important. So I remind you all to participate in your local elections. I don't tell you who to vote for, but I'm telling you, you better be involved, right? And you better look for those who are going to support your causes. And I'm just pausing. Y'all need to just put a dot in your notebook, because one of the things that us as Muslims have failed to do is to be active in our communities. We've become irrelevant. And when we become irrelevant, people who don't have the right direction will try to lead you. And then you'll be a result of misguided leaders. So even if you don't vote, if you're not in the process and being active while you live here, you have no right to complain. You have, because you're not active in making a change. In fact, you're part of the problem. And you need to understand the context which you live in. I'm just giving that. I mean, because I know somebody will say, well, that brother put in politics. Because as an imam, I don't just do religious stuff. That's not all I do. In fact, religious stuff is the least part of the work I gotta do. Most of my work is uplifting our people, making sure our people are in a better condition. And that involves economics, that involves politics, that involves social activism, that involves all those aspects. And that is the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet didn't just sit in the masjid and talk about Islam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam actually changed the society he lived in. So it's extremely important. And if you want to do any change in your environment, you better be involved with the local systems of politics, of education, of economics, and business. You got to cover the whole spectrum, not just politics, not just education, not just sports and activity, not just business, all of it, even to mental health and the medical field, because our people got sicknesses. We're confronted with the corona the most. We got to know all this stuff because we got to save our community. So that's just one aspect. Let me go back. So all of the sacred rules of the sacred law fall under one of these 5 categories. So everything you do is either going to be an obligation, a recommended matter, a merely permissible matter, a disliked matter, or an unlawful matter. And the only way you're going to clearly distinguish that is that you follow a madhab. You follow a school of thought. So I'm going to tell you something. Those among us who have affected, and why I say this, and I told you before, I don't like to use names. I don't. But I have to sometimes because things are only made clear by their opposites. So when I'm mentioning a name, I'm not mentioning it to disdain people. I'm talking about ideas and concepts. And sometimes, and I had a talk with a Muslim scholar yesterday, African-American Muslim scholar. May Allah reward him for his efforts and remove any mistakes that he may have. But he was saying about the situation, because he called me about the situation, all of these, protesting, and we had a nice dialogue. And his position was that not all white people are racist, and not everything that occurs is due to racism. That was his position. We could argue that position, right? But even though we look at what we see, and we see obvious displays of racial discrimination, obvious displays of bigotry and inequality and oppression and injustice. When we really want, and he's right in this, when we really want to address the problem, we have to look at the problem always through an Islamic lens. We have to. That's the scale by which we weigh good and evil, right and wrong. It is the scale of the sacred law. And where do these things fall? And we must not become like our oppressors. We cannot become unjust. We cannot say by any means necessary. No, by the means that are given to us through the sacred law, through the Sharia of Sayyiduna Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's our scale. We don't have another scale. There is no scale. Not how I feel, not how I think. So in order to apply that scale, you have to know it. Think about that. The problem is not that I want to contradict Islam. Sometimes I don't know enough about Islam to apply it in my reality. That's the big problem. The problem is not I'm trying to contradict Islam. I may not want to do what I want. What happens is I might not know enough about Islam to apply it properly in my life. Because all I learned about Islam is how to pray, how to fast, a little bit of how to pay zakat. I really don't know the rules of zakat, but I know a little bit. And I may learn how to follow someone doing Hajj. And after that, I'm shot. I really don't know my religion. And that is part of not following a madhab. So there's certain things. Why? Because if you follow a madhab, you're going to learn your religion from A to Z. You're going to follow a school of thought in Aqidah, in belief. So you're going to learn all the rules of belief. And we said Aqidah is one of the main primary sciences of Islam. When you learn al-fiqh, when you learn jurisprudence, you're going to learn from at-tahara, as-salat, as-zakat, as-sawm, al-hajj, rules related to an-nikah, wat-talaq, to marriage and divorce, to buying and selling, to child custody, to crimes and punishment, and all the way to even government. How to run a government is in the sacred law, in the books of al-fiqh. But if we don't study fiqh, we don't follow schools of thought, then we're all over the place. And we won't know how to apply the religion to the reality. That's a big problem. And so when I talk about Wahhabism has been the biggest thing to destroy the sacred law. So no one studies fiqh because they're deluded to think all I need to do is read the Quran and the Sunnah and I got everything I need. That is the most simplistic, unrealistic talk about religious knowledge that I've ever heard. But to the one who says it, they think they saying something slick. I follow Quran and Sunnah. You don't know the Quran or the Sunnah to follow it. I'll give you an example. I'm going to pause. Y'all ready? We're going to have a quick test. Don't be afraid. If you don't know, just don't type nothing. This is going to be a 1-minute test. And we got a couple hundred people listening. So we got time. Everyone, I want you to name 20 books of hadith. Go. 20 books of hadith. Put it in the comments. Go. I'm going to wait. I'm going to give you 1 minute. 20 books of hadith. And I'm going to get a pen while you're doing it and write down what you put. Go. Don't be shy. Come on, let's go. My brothers and sisters, I'll talk you through it. Come on. 20 books of hadith, because we're following Quran and Sunnah. Let's see with all of us together if we can get 20 books of hadith. I don't know 20 books of it. I'm driving, but I know 20. All right. And if you're from my masjid, you should know 20 by now. So go ahead. No Googling, that's cheating. We don't use Sheikh Google. Al-ilm bit-talaqi. We're not from Sheikh Google. Our knowledge is by the mouths of the scholars. No, seriously, from our own minds. Give me 20. We Muslims. We follow Quran and Sunnah. This should be easy. Bing, 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 go. And I'm not mocking you. I'm serious. Come on, let's go. That means some people got the point, so get the typing. Just go one at a time if you have to. We don't want crickets. We want okay, Sahih Bukhari, that's one. Thanks, Sister Athena. May Allah reward you. Sahih Bukhari, that's one. This should be easy, the first 6. Sahih Bukhari, go ahead. Bukhari, come on, let's go. Muslim, okay, go ahead. Come on, Sahih Muslim. I'm not even being technical. Just give me an idea. Come on. Ibn Majah, go ahead. And Nasa'i, all right, go ahead. Tirmidhi, all right, Muwatta. Abu Dawood. Muwatta of Imam Abu Dawood. Excuse me, you're writing crazy. Muwatta. All right, come on, let's go. We got all that. That's 6. Come on. Aisha, the Prophet's wife, is a person. We want books of hadith. She narrated hadith, but she doesn't have a collection of hadith. Come on. Dara Qutni. Barakallahu fikum. Dara Qutni. An-Nawawi is not counted as a source book. You can't use the books of An-Nawawi. Dara Qutni. Ibn Abi Shayba's book is not called Musnad, but Ibn Abi Shayba has a book. Now you just got to tell me what is his book. It's not called Musnad. Sunan al-Kubra. Okay, who wrote Sunan al-Kubra? I got Ibn Abi Shayba. What's the name of his book? It's not called Musnad. Sunan al-Kubra. Who wrote that book? That's good. Sunan al-Kubra. Who wrote it? Come on, let's go. We up to 9 with books. Al-Mustadrak, good. MashaAllah. Okay, good. Musannaf Ibn Abi Shayba. Good. Al-Bayhaqi wrote. Al-Bayhaqi, someone else said, I'll give that, I'll put it together. Sunan al-Kubra was written by Al-Bayhaqi, right? So I'll add that, even though the one who wrote it didn't say that. Musannaf of Ibn Abi Shayba. Musannaf, okay? Musnad al-Firdaus, okay? You're giving me titles, I want names. Who wrote them? If you can't tell me who wrote the book, don't put it. Because that means it makes me think you're Googling. Okay, we up to number 11. Come on, we got 10 more to go. This is a good exercise. It's going to humble us. And we'll stop talking about we know Quran and Sunnah. New comments. Let me go down. Come on, move. Riyadh al-Salihin is not a source book. You cannot use it. It's a derived book. Riyadh al-Salihin is taken from a source book's original compilations. You have in Hadith book, Bulugh al-Maram is not a source book. Bulugh al-Rahman is a derived book. It takes from other books, original books. We're learning something here, right? Islamic sciences, that's what we're talking about. All right, I'll give you 20 more seconds, extended time. So we only got 10 books. And I said, give me 20. We only got 10. And 20 is not all the books. Al-Mu'jam al-Kabir al-Tabarani, beautiful. MashaAllah. We said Daughter Cookney already. All right, good. I think y'all got my point, right? So if you're talking about you're following the Quran and Sunnah, and you're not even aware of half of the Sunnah, and with these numbers, you're not even talking about 3/4 of the Sunnah with all you mentioned, and talking about books that are available to understand the hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Though you have most of the hadith of the Prophet in the books that you mentioned, but what you're missing is there's no way in the world that you can make judgments on just that. You're missing too much. And I'm not even taking into consideration books that are not available to you, that are important to understand. Because I want you to write what our teachers used to say to me. My sheikh, he said to me, my teacher in hadith, he said to me this. He said, my job was researching for him. So when he used to give his lessons, my job was to go and research and find all the hadith. So whenever he would make a hadith, if he make a narration, my job was to go find it, to go exactly where it is, who related it, what is the wording, fix any errors in his narrations, and give that to the students. That was my job. That's what I used to do, right? And from that, that's how I built a library, because that was what I used to do. I realized that oftentimes when the sheikh would be talking, he would be quoting by meaning. And oftentimes what he said was not what was conveyed in the books. It had the meaning of it, but the words he used oftentimes were not the words that were mentioned by the Prophet as the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned them. Which taught me a lesson that there's a lot to this. And then not only that, sometimes one hadith has multiple narrations and multiple wordings, and they all play a fact on how we judge the reliability or the narration itself. So if you don't have a vast knowledge of hadith, and let alone its sciences, I'm just talking about the books, Mutun al-Hadith, the texts of hadith, there's no way you tell me you follow the Sunnah. You can't. It's impossible. You don't have enough information. You don't even know what's available. And so for us, I mentioned that that's why we got to follow a madhab. Because those imams who are called mujtahidun, these are the top ranking scholars in Islamic jurisprudence, right? They were people who were hufaz. They were masters of hadith knowledge. They all memorized from their minds over 100,000 hadith, way more than that. Way more than that. Do you follow what I mean? Way more than that. So you have two levels in this. You have the scholar who is mujtahid, who is a top legal scholar. He has a vast knowledge of all the rules of the sacred law, from purification all the way up to freeing slaves and everything in between. Allah. This is important, excuse me. So here, that's important. So a person comes, and I'm gonna give you an example of what I'm talking about. So the point is, don't lose the point. You must follow a madhab. Why? You're either a mujtahid, which is that top level Islamic scholar in jurisprudence, the top qualified legal scholar, or you are muqallid, or you follow that scholar. That means you don't have the tools to deduce legal rulings. And as one of the tools is a comprehensive knowledge of the ahadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let me humble the whole entire world, and I'm a part of the world. If we find a mujtahid scholar alive today, it is almost a karama. It's almost a miracle. Do we say no mujtahids exist? No, we don't say that, because there always are some who have a level of this. But the whole nation has never accepted the independent ijtihad of a scholar after those great imams as a collective ummah. Though there are scholars who reach that level, but even those scholars end up following a madhab. So there were scholars after the four imams who reached the level of being mujtahid mutlaq themselves. But when they deduced legal rulings, they found that their legal rulings had to agree with one of the four imams, except in a few cases. So we got to stop having this fake religion that we invented on ourselves, really. So you got the local Imam, Amin Muhammad, or so-and-so, who are not even a tenth of a scholar. Let me explain that. Not even a tenth of a scholar. Not a tenth of a scholar. I'm talking about a mujtahid scholar. I'm not talking about now everybody sheikh. Everybody, as soon as they come back, I studied overseas 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. I graduated from this university. I'm getting ready to pull a cover off all this stuff because it's killing us. So it is hurting us as a people. I'm talking about specifically African Americans. We're being decimated by delusion. So the guy comes back. I studied 12 years. You didn't even start studying in 12 years. When you finish 12 years of studying overseas every day, you just learning to learn about the books of the scholars. You ain't nowhere near a scholar or a sheikh. Now I'm going to keep it real with you. And I want you, so that you understand, after a person spends 10 years in medical school, in residency, and doing that, is he a real doctor that you can rely upon? Absolutely not. After 6, 7, 8 years in law school, is that a lawyer that is a top level lawyer? No. Likewise, in Islamic study, even more so, after 10 or 12 years of scholarship and learning every single day, you are not a qualified legal jurist. You yourself are still a muqallid. Seriously, we got to stop playing games. It hurts us. And there's nothing wrong with that. That means you can help, but you're not a scholar. You're nowhere near a scholar. You're not a sheikh. You're not nowhere near a sheikh. You are still a student seeking knowledge. And there's nothing wrong with that. May Allah reward you for your effort. And when you get about 20 years in, 20 years of research, 20 years of investigation, 20 years of weighing and estimating the judgments, and when you know all of the rules just in one school, I'm not talking about all four that the one says, I follow all the schools of thought. Man, would you knock it off? That's impossible. You can't do it. It's impossible to study, say, I follow all four schools of thought. You are deluded. In one school, to study it well and to really master the cases in one school will take you about 30 years minimum to be good. I'm talking about. And us people who study, and those who study more than me, if they be honest to you, they'll tell you Imam Amin is right. Well, I know, because I studied as well. I know that's fantasy island for someone's talking about I studied 10 years. You ain't even read 10 years worth. You didn't even read half the books in the madhab in 10 years. In one school, you haven't read half the books, the reliable, important books that in a school you haven't read. And I know you ain't studying them with no teacher. It just don't have that kind of time. And you tell me you learn fiqh, and you learn aqidah, and you learn tasawwuf, and you learn usul al-fiqh, and usul al-hadith, and tafsir. Man, would you stop telling lies? Stop it. It's impossible. You ain't do it. And that's why the level of scholarship that we're producing today, because our Islamic universities started following the West and left the Isnad system, the system of sitting down and acquiring knowledge from student to teacher and teacher to student, from book to book to book to book. In each field, we stopped doing that, took the easy way, follow the West, give you some cliff notes, and then you pass the test. You're not even attending with your teachers. You pass the test, and at the end they give you a diploma and tell you you're a sheikh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. This is what's happening. So don't delude us. And the ones who know it, they should be honest. Because it's hurting us in the long run, because we really think that's scholarship. So every young kid, he run overseas. I'm going to go to University of Medina. I'm going to go to Al-Azhar, and I'm going to stay there for 5-6 years, and I'm going to come back to Sheikh. Man, you ain't even a beginner student. Would you knock it off? Go sit down and learn. Seriously. And that applies to us. I'm being honest with you. Because why? If we keep this false sense of Islamic education that doesn't represent our education system at all, we're fighting, we're going up against these enemies who know our religion better than us. Do you realize that the CIA, they have libraries of Islamic sciences from the books they captured all over the world that some Muslims don't even know anything about? SubhanAllah. Do you know when they have these wars that it ain't just about taking your country? The first thing they do is take your intellectual legacy. They take all of our manuscripts, all of our books, and they put it in their private libraries, and they study the religion. They got people that study for the system, and they are for the enemies of Islam, and they study books, they memorize hadith, they memorize Quran, but they're not believers. Their design is to learn Islam from within. From within. They learn Islam and they infiltrate Islam from within. We're at war, don't forget that. So we can't actually win this war if we don't know our religion ourselves. And we don't have, and believe me, this is something that we're not going to be able to solve. The best we can do is start the process for succeeding generations. That's all we can do. We don't even have the ability or the time or the discipline to do the work we need to do at the level we need to do it. But what we can do is prepare the soil so that we plant seeds that produce good trees, that produce good fruit. And that's a whole process. But one of the things we must do, we must remove the delusion that's preventing us that. We have to. We have to remove, because you got people today, we reading books, we don't know none of the authors. You don't know who wrote that book. We go to the library, we go to Google, you don't know who put that fatwa up there. You don't know who put that judgment. You don't know who did it, who said it. We don't have no connection to teachers. We don't have no way of checking and nothing. We just go, and it could be the enemy of Islam putting that information there for you. You don't know who put it up there. You have no contact to the person. That's not our Islamic, that's not our Islamic way. That's not our way. It's not how we learn. And that's important to understand. Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he said, when in their days, he said, I don't accept a book unless the book who was brought to me by a trustworthy person. And there's rules for what makes a person trustworthy. Islamically, there are rules, right? That the person is trustworthy. That the book is sealed. And that was in his time. And I know the writing of the author. SubhanAllah. That's how accurate they was. I have to know this was his handwriting. Now, with the advent of the printing press, and I'm going to share something with you that woke me up. And I'm giving you experience for over 30 years of people playing games with us. And it took just 30 years to really realize, wait a minute, y'all pulling the wool over our eyes. It took a long time. I remember, I'll share with you. I remember learning when I first started studying, my teachers wouldn't give us no books. We were not allowed to have books. I used to think in the beginning of my study, it's going to sound funny, that books were haram. That was the feeling. I knew they weren't haram, but that was the feeling I had. If someone came in with a book, I'd be like, get out of here. Who you sat with? Who's your teacher? And I thought that's the only way people learned. And if anyone learned another way, I would reject it. Then I come to realize that it's a little bit more advanced than that. And that books are important, and books, they must be, checked and researched and documented, but there's going to be the need of books because books are secondary sources. The primary sources are the scholars, but the books are explained and related through the scholars, but the books ensure also the scholar's accuracy. That's important. So it got to be a combination of the two, and how the books reach us with a continuous chain of narration, right? That's important. So books are important. But what I discovered is in an Arab world is the worst. I mean, I got to give to our society, we still have a little bit of integrity, a little bit, when it comes to writing books and researching, and they do that. I got to give them a little bit of integrity. They have an aim with it, but there's a little integrity there. But in the Arab world, now, is a mess. They're printing books just for money. They don't care about accuracy. They don't care about none of that. The rich publishers, they just print. And you go to the publishing companies, and I know them all around the Arab world. They will put books out, and they got a little kid who got a high school education messing with the books on his computer, the books of the sacred law. He don't know nothing about Islamic science. He's just typing from manuscripts that he don't understand. A mess. And they just printing books and selling them, printing books and selling them. And if you don't have teachers, you're going to be in trouble. I saw this with my own eyes, and I know it very well. And guess what? In almost every person's library are those books. When you be seeing these flashy libraries with all these books, pay attention. A lot of those books were written by people who don't even practice Islam. They just booksellers, and they're not trustworthy at all. And the person who's reading those books without a teacher is going to fall into all those mistakes. It's real stuff. But then they come to us as authoritative. Then worse, that's one, that's just negligence. Then if we're talking about the Wahhabi books, that's even worse. Why? Because it's intentional taking out, adding, fabricating texts of books. Intentionally fabricating books. Intentionally so negligent that they put in stuff that they so eager to put their blasphemous beliefs in books that they quote stuff that don't even have nothing to do with the author's talking about. And I could give you hundreds and hundreds of examples of their playing with the Islamic text. Riyadh al-Salihin, Al-Afkar, even Arba'in an-Nawawi. These famous books, they alter and they mess with them. And if you don't have a living teacher, you're going to follow into those mistakes. Who learned, and this is real. It's not, and I'm going to show you. Because why am I showing you? First of all, I started with the conviction because this stuff can shake your faith, right? If you don't understand, number one, the importance of Islam and the value of Islam, and realize that Islam is the religion of truth, when you see how people are playing with our religion, it could shake your faith. And we definitely don't want that to happen. So we got to first establish firm conviction in Islam, the way Islam was conveyed to us, and then we got to return to that system to preserve our tradition. And that is important for us for legacy, for future generations. Because if we don't do it, then future generations are going to have a religion that is not Islam, which is the intention. That we have because right now, in America, unfortunately, the majority of the information that we get is Wahhabi propaganda. Has nothing to do with our Islamic tradition. And they just changed the name to Salafi. Wahhabi propaganda. Lies, fabrications, omissions, complete changing of Islamic texts, manipulating the words of scholars. That's why you never read scholarly books. You always got some reinvented book from some modern scholar. We have a tradition that's 1,400 years old since the time of the Prophet. Why every time you talk about a scholar, it's one of these modern people, Bin Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, Al-Albani, Muqbil, Saul al-Fawzan? Give me a break. And these are the lowest level of Islamic scholarship that Islam has to offer. None of these people are Hufaz, not one of them. None of them. They're not even serious in the terms of Islamic scholarship. I'm not talking about between me and you. We don't count in terms of scholarship. I'm talking about what our tradition, our traditional scholars have conveyed. These people wouldn't even be good students in the time of our scholars. If any of them sat in the circle of Imam an-Nawawi or Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar Asqalani, they would be pouring tea, not giving talks. It's a joke. But that's being presented to us as authoritative scholarship. It's a joke. And we're the victims of it. So why am I saying it? Because at the end of the result, you know, they used to tell us when we was kids, feces rolls downhill. They have another word they say for it. We won't say that. We'll be politically correct, right? And we at the bottom of the hill. So all of it is coming down on the black community. We want to be, we get Islam, and now you're giving us a fabricated version of Islam and telling us we on the Sunnah. And we destroy generations following your nonsense. That the rest of the world is laughing at us. Nah, we can't keep doing that. Mark my words. within the next 30 years, listen to me, I'm giving you something. In the next 30 years, the Salafi movement, which is the Wahhabi movement, will be the same judgment among us as the Ahmadiyya, the Nation of Islam, the Moorish Science Temple, all these groups, the Ansar Allah community. We're going to talk 30 years from now in this country. We're going to be talking about the Salafi movement like you talk about the Ansars and the Nation of Islam and the Moorish Science Temple. That's how you're going to talk about the Salafi movement. Mark my words. The more people learn, the more people study, the more is exposed to Islamic scholarship, you're going to realize you've been had again. I give it 30 years. It's already becoming manifest. But 30 more years, if you live 30 more years, and may Allah give us a long life, we're going to say, wow, the black man been deceived again. Right now, they talking about bid'ah, and that's bid'ah, and you ain't on the minhaj, and who's off the minhaj. In 30 more years, as black people begin to learn, you're going to look at them just like you look at those other groups. It's already happening because some stuff don't even make sense. And when we finish these lessons over the next, it's going to take me a couple months because I got to educate you first. And trust me, I'm going to educate you part of the way by showing you how much you don't know. Listen to my point. I'm going to educate you. Part of it is going to be by showing you what you don't know so that you will listen, because we get arrogant and we don't want to, we want to act like we know stuff we don't know. So I got to make it obvious you don't know what you're talking about. And then once you get that and you humble yourself, now we just learn together and build. And now we all grow. No big eyes, no little U's. We all been had. We all been hoodwinked. We all been bamboozled. And together, we're going to get the foot of the enemies of Islam off our necks. Together. But that's going to be work. And trust me, I'm sharing with you. Whoever goes on this journey is putting their life on the line. So if you a chicken, if you a coward, stay behind your computer and press buttons. Don't come out front, because it's a dangerous land out here. And it's wolves and it's people who are intent on deceiving us through our religion, and your life is on the line. That's what it is. But hey, the Prophet's life was on the line. The companions' life was on the line. The followers, all the Muslims, nobody was scared. They knew when they signed that certificate, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, they knew that behind it was Shahada. And they look forward to it. This is not a religion for scaredy cats. It's just not. Not in the world we live, because they will kill you. Trust me. And not just we talking about Wahhabis and Salafis. Governments will take leaders out, because you're going up against a system. And if Islam ever comes to rule the world, the whole system comes down. And they don't want that. So it is what it is. I'm just being honest with you. Don't delude yourself to thinking it's going to be some easy battle. It's not. It's very dangerous. But that's why you say, Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. Because people are in business. This is big business. Big business. And you starting to reveal things that's going to shut my business down. Hey. But we the victims of your business, and I'm tired of being a victim. And those who know me, that's why I take the stances I take. Absolutely not. You not gonna. I got babies that I'm responsible for. I got generations that I look at that I gotta prepare for. And they're not gonna be in the same condition, if I can help it, that we in. Absolutely not. They're not going to be begging people to teach them. They're not going to be begging people to bring scholars to them. Oh, you know, the sheikh is coming over here. Could you please, 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 please bring them to our community? No, they're going to be the scholars. They're not doing that. They're not going to be begging people for money. We're poor. Help us out. Please, please give us a donation. You know, we'll smile when we ain't got nothing to smile about. We'll dance. Just give us $1,000 because our people don't help us, so we need you. That's not going to be the lot of my children or your children that are with us. Nah, we ain't doing that. And that's why all of our imams are together, because we all know that if we don't start taking care of ourselves, we're going to be slaves in Islam. And that's disgusting. Just like white supremacy has came over the regular people, in Islam, we're going to be slaves. And I want you to be honest. Stop lying to yourself, because you're not lying to nobody else but yourself. When you go to those masjids that are not controlled by your people, African Americans, blacks, what's your status in those places? You either Uncle Tom, acting like you're not black, or you in the corner somewhere just attending but have no participation. Nothing's about you. Nothing is related to you. And then you go back home and you realize that, you know what? I know inside it hurts. It does. I know. You know it. You know the feeling. Do something about it. Stop hating yourself and build your own institutions. Support black leadership in Islam. Support black masajid in Islam. And don't let nobody tell you that's wrong, because they do it. That's why you feel the way you feel. That's why when you go to a masjid that's ruled by Pakistanis, you feel the Pakistani presence and you feel that you have no place. When you go to the far Arab masjid, you feel that. You feel the Arab culture. You feel the Arab presence. And you feel that you just attending, you're not welcome. Even when they say, Salam alaikum, brother. You know the feeling. Let's stop playing games. We got generations we got to save. We feel the same thing that the black man is feeling in the streets in Islam. But I don't blame nobody else. I blame us for not building our own. I blame us. I blame us for giving our money to support white supremacy, to support white businesses, to support the same people that's oppressing us, but refuse to sacrifice to build our own because we don't like our own leadership. I don't like him. I hate him. We got all kinds of excuse to stay as slaves. But there must be a group among us who are serious, who can overcome our own deficiencies and do something good for the next generation to continue the work. We are at a stage, black people, and I hope those who are not black listen to me and say, my Muslim brother is working hard to help lift the ummah. If the black man and woman in America get themselves together, get their economics together, get their education together, establish their culture, they can change the face of the world, because the world loves America. If you get these black people to change America, they can change the world. Do you realize the value of these people that you look down on? No one knows white supremacy and how to defeat it better than a black man and black woman in America. Nobody in the entire world. If they ever rise, if they ever learn this deen, if they ever get a hold of this deen, they will change the world. But they got to get the deen. Because if they don't get Islam in its pure, unadulterated form, they will be rendered incapable. And evil will continue to exist, because the others around the world, they love white supremacy. They benefit from white supremacy. That's why they always kissing Donald Trump's hand, and you know what I mean by his hand. But us, the black man and woman in America, us specifically, we're having none of it. But if we get the tool, we'll change the world. We'll change the world. You go look at that video and that picture yesterday where you saw those Congress on their knees. They got on their knees because they realize if the black man rises, we're done. So let us give some gesture to slow that mission. Let us help others dominate the black cause so we can wipe that out. It ain't about black people. It ain't about the blacks. It's about everybody. All lives matter. Yeah. Keep buying that. They're going to wipe out that narrative, because if these people rise, we in trouble. They don't mind Farrakhan. It's rhetoric. He's an old man. He doesn't even understand Islam. They know that. It's nice. Let them rile up. Let these people get Islam. They're going to change the whole world. The whole system's coming down. But this is not Islam. We know that. We know that you don't really understand the religion. Just rhetoric. We understand that. We're the CIA. We're the government of the world. We're part of the world order. We know what the heck's going on. We study this religion inside and out. We're trying to destroy it. We understand, and we can't let the black man get it, because the black man's not afraid of us. The black man is not afraid of us. They survived 400 years of our oppression, and they keep coming. And if they get Islam, forget about it. This is real. And for us, just as the same conviction we have in Islam and the truthfulness of Islam, that's one effective weapon. But another thing, we got to realize our power and our ability as a people. And we got to start standing up for us and have no apology for that. I'm not against you. I'm for me. And if I win, you win. But you're winning and we're all losing. So maybe we need to win so we can all win. Maybe it's time for you, my Arab, my Pakistani, my Bengali, my Middle Eastern brother, my white Muslim brother, to start putting your support behind the black community so we can change this stuff. Maybe you should start taking all those dollars that you're saving and pour them in the black community. Produce black leadership. Produce fearless black leaders. Help so we can change the condition for you too. This is real. Somebody got to have this talk. We don't got that much time. Time is ticking. And we're getting older, and we don't got a lot of Malcolm X's. We don't got a lot of Martin Luther Kings. These people changed the world. Where is the generation today that's going to change the world? Trust me, my immigrant brother and sister, my Muslim immigrant brother and sister, and I love you, lillahi tabaraka wa ta'ala. I love you for the sake of Allah. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the black struggle. Trust me. You wouldn't be a doctor, an engineer, and in corporate America if it wasn't for the struggle of black people. If the black man and woman didn't rebel and fight out of slavery, out of Jim Crow laws, all of these things, you wouldn't be here. Trust me. So it is to your advantage to show your gratitude, especially to these people say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. It is to your benefit to stop being selfish, which Islam prohibits. Greed, and keeping all to yourself. Me, my people, my people, my people. Our masjid, our masjid, our masjid. Y'all stay over there, we stay over here. You're defeating Islam, whether you realize it or not. You don't realize the value of al-ummatu wahida, one ummah. You don't realize the value. You don't realize your strength. If the Muslims unite and they support one another like they're supposed to do, and they follow the Quran, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. They hold on to the rope of Allah as one group, and they never separate. There be yet one hand in the other hand. If they do that, they will change the world. But you got to come out of your own supremacy that is derived from white supremacy. You got to get rid of that first. So with us, in the meanwhile, until they get there, black man and woman, you got to start doing for yourself. You got to ensure and empower every one of your masjids to be financially free. Every one of your imams, they got to have enough money that they do nothing but learn and teach and work. They don't have no attachment to dunya. They don't have to report to Mr. Charlie, that is the job, the white man, the corporate America. They don't do none of that. All you do, black man, is serve our people and spread the message of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. You got to develop your leadership to be out front. That's what you got to do. That's your job. You got to make it to where they can serve all around the country. The black leadership cannot do nothing but serve the mission. Their whole life got to be dedicated to teaching, educating, transforming, building, economic development, educational development. They have to be in every sphere of life. You got to do that. You got to provide the platform for them to do nothing else. And if it breaks your back, you got to do it. We do with our sheikhs. Our sheikhs don't do nothing but teach. Why? Because we do what we got to do, because we need that knowledge. We don't need you going 8 hours, wasting your time building somebody else's dynasty. Take those 8 hours and keep it in the masjid. Keep it in the community. Make sure you at every meeting. When those politicians go to meet, you're going to be there. You're going to be there. When they sitting there making the deal, you're going to be there to make sure the deal is for us. But that takes financial independence. I'll give you an example in our city, and I'm going to close with this. Every time there's a black struggle, and it's around the country, because like I said, that's why we got this group of imams all around the country. That's why we come together, because the situation is the same no matter where we go. We have a black struggle. Now they're getting ready to apologize. They're on their knees, and they're going to make legislation that's going to come, and it's going to change the condition. But you know what they're going to do? All these big corporate, nonprofit, white organizations or Negro organizations that serve white interests are going to come with their 501c3, with their plan to serve the black community. They're going to take all the money. They're going to get some token Negroes. They're going to give them $100,000. They're going to give them a $200,000, depending the money. Here's your yearly salary. Here's some benefits. And they're going to take the rest of the money for their interest. And they're going to give a little bit to the black community. It happens all the time. You know why? Because when those deals are cut, you don't have nobody at the table. Why? Because you didn't support your leadership. You didn't give your leadership financial independence where they can say, I don't give a damn about what you're giving. You're going to serve our people because I don't need you. You know why Farrakhan talks so tough? You know why Farrakhan say whatever the heck he want? Because the people in the nation, they support him. Farrakhan doesn't have to worry about money. He don't have to say, if I say this and they cut my check, I might get fired. He don't care about that. He don't. Why? Because those people in the nation, you could call them kafir, you could call them mushrik, you could call them whatever you want. They men and women. They're strong black men and women. Now, all you got to do is teach them Islam and you watch out. If they ever learn true Islam, watch out, because they already know how to build a nation. They just got to get the religious conviction and that correct. Once they get that correct, watch out. So why you hating on them? Why you not liking them? Why you judging them, acting like you were Arab or something, talking about your own people? You should be educating them so that those strong black women and men would do what we are not doing. That's real. I wish I had a group of MGT and FOIs on the Sunnah. But I got a bunch of people who don't realize their value. Let's say that. They don't realize their value. They don't realize their strength. And as one of us or a few of us can stop people in their tracks. They came to Atlantic City. They had bricks lined up to throw through our businesses. And the voice of a few black people under black leadership stopped them right in their tracks. They walked out of here with their heads down saying we can't do it in Atlantic City. They're not having it. But that's when you got strong black leadership. And I don't care. It ain't about me. We need strong black leadership all around the country. And we need to work with our people, whether they're Christians, whether they're atheists, and we need to work together and we need to educate. And it's going to be the discussion. We're going to have that discussion. We're men and women. We're going to have religious discussions. We're not afraid of that. We're going to decide what is right and what is wrong, but we're going to have those discussions. But at the same time, we're going to empower our people at the same time. The Prophet ﷺ, he did work with the people of the Quraysh that were from his people, from Bani Hashim and from Bani Muttalib. Not all of them were Muslim, and they were with the Prophet. They were working on making a better society. And the Prophet ﷺ had relationships. He had relationships with his people. And they make us that we can't work with our people. I can get Christian leaders, people of Jewish, that'll work harder with me on the front lines than some of my own people that are Muslim. And they are diligent. They work. They're serious. So if we got this type of connection, if we empower ourselves as well, we can change it for everybody. And we leave the rest to Allah, to God. He's going to sort out who he's going to accept and who he's going to reject. And may he give us all light in our heart that we all accept it at the end. Because I don't know where you're going to be tomorrow. I know where you're at today. But in our religion, we learn husnul khatima, the good ending. It ain't over till it's over for nobody. So you may be there today. I'm not going to hate on that. That's where Allah got you, mashallah. But we're going to work together till we get to a point that we all free. Because if we're not all free, we're all losing. And we got to fight for that. This is my plea for you. And those who know me, this ain't just talk. This is how I live. This is my life. It's all I do. I don't do nothing else. Whether I got money, I don't got money. I'm not doing nothing else. I'm committed to this struggle. I ain't doing it for the money. I've had way more money than this is. Yeah, Latif. I've had money. Trust me. It ain't about money for me. And those who know me, I've had a lot of money in my life. And I could get more if I wasn't doing this. But I'm not interested in money. I'm interested in saving our people. I'm interested in saving our people. A lot of you don't realize you just see Imam Amin, Sheikh Amin, or whatever you may call me. But the people who know me, nah, I've been in the struggle. I'm in it. I'm serious. I ain't playing. Not for me. Because I know I was 10 years old when I came to Islam. I was 10. I'm 50. 40 years went so fast. And I look 40 years ago, I believe in terms of our life, we were in a better position. Right now, we jacked up. We got more stuff, but we don't know what to do with it. We got more access, but we don't know how to use it. We got more wealth, but we're wasting it. We need a lot of education. A lot. A whole lot. But I don't want to see the next group of kids because we count generations of losing our youth. All of us are losing our youth to this wicked system. Generation to generation. Go to the church. Go to the mosque. All you see is a bunch of old people. The youth are running the streets. This is a reality. We got work to do. And some of us got to be serious. We got to be dead serious. We got to be willing to give everything we got, our life, our time, our families, our money, everything, our health to build a nation. And we got to revive the legacy of Malcolm X, of Martin Luther King, of Harriet Tubman, of all of those great Sojourner Truth, all of those great African-American leaders who laid the path for us to be talking the stuff we're talking and doing the stuff we're doing. We cannot forget that legacy. We can't. And we got to improve upon that legacy. We have work to do. I'm pleading with you. Let's get to work. And I tell my people, put the donation button across the screen. Go to MMACINC.org. Donate to what we're doing. Send that cash app to Masjid Muhammad of Atlantic City. Go to PayPal. That money is going to help me work. I'm on the front lines. It ain't no secret. If you see me in Atlantic City or anywhere I go, I'm on the front lines. I'm pushing. That's me. That money is going to help us build. That support is going to give me strength so I can sit down with the mayor, so I can sit down with the governor, so I can sit down with the politicians. I'm already in the position without money. I'm there. I'm on the governor's religious team. I'm on the mayor's religious team. I got access. But just me having access ain't sufficient if I can't bring you with me. And to bring you with me, I got to be at the table with people who got millions to lobby for their causes. Millions. I come in just one black man or a few other black men. We're tokens if we don't got no money to back that up. We're just tokens. We're the ones for the pictures. When they take the pictures and say, you know, see, we care about black people. Look, we got Imam Amin. Look, we got Pastor Hargrove. Look, we got the Fellowship of Churches. Look, we got Masjid Muhammad. But how much is that really improving our community? Because we go to the north side, we still struggling. So we ain't really doing much. Yeah, we look good. We got our uniform. We on the the religious council for the police. Yeah, but what is the condition of our people? So our people got to help us have some guts. Because many of us, and I'm not pointing to any particular person, but many of us, soon as the money come, your cause is out the window. Because a lot of it's self-serving. Soon as the money come, your cause is out the window. My job is more important than your cause. So make sure they don't need that. That you support so that they're financially independent. There's no reason for them to have to sell out. Why I got to sell out? My people got my back. I don't got to sell out. Now I'm going to fight for my people. You're going to take that $1 million and at least 500,000 is going to my people. And you can take the other $500,000 for your administrative costs. Not 800 or 900, and then 100,000 goes to whom it's supposed to go to, while the rest go in your pockets and end up in the suburbs, in your car, and in your house, and in your 501 retirement package, or 401, or whatever the heck you call it. Nah, it's going to go serve our people. It's going to build centers and businesses within our community so that our people can come up and even the playing field. But you need someone who got guts to say it. And in order to say that, you got to be a Moses or a Jesus or a Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, or you got to have financial independence. So help us become financially independent. You want to see more of this get out, spread, to do all this media? That stuff costs money. All this stuff costs money. We need to market. We need to advertise. We need to get it out to our people, wake them up. We need to be on the ground every day. We need to be in the projects every single day, reaching our people. But that takes money. That takes money. You cannot do it for free. You can try, but you ain't going to get too far. We were feeding. Wallahi, we were feeding every day in the projects of Atlantic City. And it was a handful of us. You know how tiresome that is? You got to make the food. You got to prepare the food. You got to deliver the food. And you got to get our people. And they were encouraged. But we got burned out because we didn't have enough support. We got financially burned out. We got physically burned out. Because you can't tell everybody to do everything for free. A person told me, and it was the best thing I've heard in relation to this. She said to me, volunteers do what they want. Employees do what they're told. That stuck with me. Volunteers do what they want. Employees do what they're told. We need to have money to employ people. We need to uplift the condition of our people so they can do the mission, not the part that they want to do and leave everything else off. So with that, I'll close. Barakallahu feekum. Don't be afraid. Donate. Help. Trust me. I'm not in the money. People who know me, I'm not into the money. I don't care about money. I don't want nothing. You know, my property is books. Anyone who know me, I don't drive a fancy car. I don't dress fancy. I don't do none of that. My money goes to spreading knowledge. You come visit Masjid Muhammad, you will see the biggest property in Masjid Muhammad is books, religious knowledge. You go to my house, the biggest property is books. That's what I do. I had dunya. I had a lot of dunya. Trust me, I'm not impressed. I've had dunya. Allah took me through it. I don't worry about worldly stuff. Don't think that I'm about money. Just ask anybody who know me. Ask the immigrants who have offered me a lot of money, and I say no. Go ask them. Go ask the sheikhs. What about Imam Amin? Does he do that for money? Is he about money? No. I travel to go help others with no money. I don't want your money. I don't ask for your money. I want the deen to go forward. I want you to learn. If you're going to help, fine, but I don't want your money. I am not a sellout. It ain't nowhere on my jacket. Never. I don't sell out. I am a soldier for this mission. And I want to create and develop and improve the condition of my people and make more soldiers that are better than me, that are way better than me, that are way stronger than me. And we need soldiers, men and women. But to do that, you got to be free. And I know to be free, it costs money. I understand that. I understand that point because we're fighting money. And if we don't got none, I don't know how we're going to win. So may Allah bless you. May Allah help you. And please, not just Masjid Muhammad. We have our organization, Ummah, and we have a lofty goal. I'm going to share this goal. We want to raise $1 million between all our masajid so we can all be dedicated to doing this work. And I'm talking about in those 5 groups, you got the equivalent of about 100 years of Islamic learning and scholarship between those 5 masjids and those imams. And you talking about historically Black imams who've been passed down from generation to generation, which is unique. Masjid in Atlanta Islam, Imam Sulaiman, generational leadership. Masjid Muhammad, generational leadership. Isla LA, generational leadership. Masjid Sabur, generational leadership. Midtown Mosque, generational leadership. Black leadership, generational, who have studied, who have traveled overseas, who sat with sheikhs, who studied books, who still working on the ground in the inner cities, struggling with their families, doing everything they can do to uplift our people. If they had all of these people together, we work hard. If we had the support, we could change the face of this thing. But we need you. We do. And you got to help. And we're stuck together. And we got more that want to come. And communities that are trying to build, that want to make alliances. But we got to empower each other. Trust me, if you help us, we're going to change the face of Islam in America. I promise you that. Bi'idhnillah, with the permission of Allah, with bi'awnillah, with the help of Allah, I promise you, we will make a drastic change in this country. And if we make the change in this country, we're going to make a change in the world. Barakallahu fikum wa jazakumullahu khaira. I'm sorry for going so long, but it's a plea. We got work to do. If we're free, subhanallah, if we're free to do the work with all the stuff we got ready, waiting, we can change the face of the game. You know, we can change it. We can change it. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati yama yasifun wa salamu ala mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Barakallahu fikum. Jazakumullahu khaira. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah, I'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.